All right, good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of PT on Ice. I'm Jason London, ICE faculty for the Rehabilitation of the Injured Runner course and Rehabilitation of the Injured Cyclist course. For those of you who tried to tune in at 6:30, I apologize. I messed up with posting, so I am redoing it. And today I wanted to talk to you about the number one myth in running. And that is that running causes joint degeneration and the development of osteoarthritis. Now, there have been several studies throughout the year showing that running really doesn't lead to the cause of knee OA or hip OA. However, this past June in JOSPT, there was a large-scale systematic review and meta-analysis by a diverse group of physicians from different centers throughout the world that really examined this question, and it's a nice level 1 evidence. So we'll just review that a little bit, and then also why running particularly doesn't influence the development of hip and knee OA in a negative way. So with this meta-analysis in JSPT this past June, they looked at articles and came up with high-quality articles. They came up with 25 articles, 17 of which they were able to use for quantitative analysis, so leading them with just a little over 100,000 subjects to do their quantitative analysis on. And what the results that they found were encouraging for us is that basically subjects that had a history of running had a prevalence of knee and hip OA of just a little over 3%, whereas controls or sedentary controls, non-runners, had a prevalence of hip and knee OA of a little over 10%. So basically, this study shows that running in itself does not lead to hip and knee OA, and perhaps it could be protective. And to illustrate this is we have multifactorial nature in terms of the development of osteoarthritis. And the more that we are studying the etiology and the pathophysiology of osteoarthritis, the more we're seeing that in addition to activity level and history of injury, some of the biggest factors really have more to do with weight gain and nutrition. So to illustrate this, there was kind of a landmark study done in 2012 by Griffin et al. And this is a study done in mice, but what they did is they took a group of mice and had the control group just eating a controlled diet and only limited access to their diet. Well, they took this other group of mice and tried to really fatten them up. So they had a high-fat diet, and the mice were able to eat their food whenever they wanted to. And so they ended up with these really obese mice. And then they further subgrouped these obese mice into two different groups. One group that had access to exercise, they had a running wheel, and the other group didn't have access to exercise for 4 weeks. And mice can run an incredible distance. It seems really over the course of a night they can run 5K on a running wheel, which, if you think of the size of a mouse, is an incredibly small distance in relation to its size. Anyways, the group that the obese mice had a higher incidence of knee osteoarthritis than the non-obese mice, the controls. But the mice that were allowed to run and exercise actually had a lower incidence of knee OA than the mice that weren't allowed to exercise. And then they further looked at some metabolic markers in the mice as well. And what they found is the control mice that had a controlled diet and were not obese versus the obese mice. The control mice had kind of normal metabolic markers as you would expect, but the obese mice had this dysrhythmia of this metabolic dysrhythmia. So they had increased systemic inflammation as well as cytokines that were actually causing some of that bone degeneration. And by introducing exercise into the equation, that helped get some of this metabolic dysrhythmia back to a normal metabolic state and decreased inflammation. So what does this really tell us? Well, one, obesity probably has much more to do with the development of osteoarthritis than joint loading. And two, diet is an extremely important component to the development and prevention of osteoarthritis. So, we need to, one, realize that running is going to be a really good thing for our general population overall in helping to combat disease and just promote general health by, one, running has been shown by many studies to improve mental health and decrease depression. It's certainly been shown to increase cardiovascular health as well as increase musculoskeletal health in terms of muscle mass, as well as bone health. There's been several studies looking at osteoporosis, and bringing in just a small amount of running can really help reverse that. But also that running could be protective for osteoarthritis, particularly if it's dosed in the right way, where people aren't going out and increasing their mileage too fast, too soon, and allowing the body to adapt to the stresses of running. So coming back to the meta-analysis study, looking at the development of hip and knee OA in runners versus non-runners, they further subgrouped the runners into elite versus non-elite runners. And there the results were a little bit surprising, is that the elite runners did have a higher prevalence of osteoarthritis, right around 13%, versus the non-elite runners had a prevalence of OA around 3%. And so that just tells us that we do really want to be careful in terms of dosing our running and not increasing mileage too fast, too soon, or really educating our patients and the population about training errors in the development of a running-related injury and perhaps the development of osteoarthritis. And so training errors are kind of the number one reason runners will develop a running-related injury. So that's a really important part of your patient education when you're working with those runners. Anyways, that's all I had today. Sorry that I screwed up on posting for those of you who are tuning in at 6:30. I hope you enjoy this. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year. Thanks.